Welcome to Beyond the Chutes, the rodeo podcast that dives deep into the heart of Western culture. I'm your host, Doug Simcox, and here we explore it all. Rodeo's rich histories, the legends and their stories, today's competitors shaping the sport, and the behind-the-scenes heroes who make it happen. From bucking chutes to timed events, from rodeo history to current events, this is your all-access pass to the world of rodeo. Our show is presented by Parasite Systems, who help vet clinics and animal owners experience the power of sight. New in 2025, the all-in-one analyzer featuring fecal site AI, hemosite AI, and flow site AI technology. You can find them at parasitesystems.com. Welcome to Beyond the Chutes is presented by Parasite Systems. I'm here in Raymer, Alabama, sitting at the Kickback Ranch and Event Center, sitting here with Mr. Sid McFarland. Welcome to the show, Mr. McFarland.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, when I interviewed your son, Trent, he says, you gotta talk to my pop. And you come from this part of the world.
Right. It's kind of unique. I was a city-raised kid. I didn't come from an agriculture background, had nobody involved in rodeo. I did have a very dear friend whose family was involved in rodeo. And they took me to a rodeo when I was about 12 years old. And something kind of planted a seed. It was very difficult in that many years ago. I entered my first pro rodeo. It was RCA back then, not the PRCA, in 1969. So I've been around this game off and on for 55 years. There was a period of a couple of years when I started my career as a firefighter that I had to back off from it. But I'm so thankful. The greatest thing about my rodeo experience are all the dear friends I've made. I lived in Cody, Wyoming for 10 years. I got so many dear friends out there. So now that I'm retired from the Montgomery, Alabama Fire Department, I did a career with them. When I retired in March of 2007, I'd already signed up. I went to Iraq and did a year as a combat firefighter. Got back in 2008, and then I started going back out to Cody to see old friends. So life's kind of come full circle for me. I tell everybody when they see my son Trent has far surpassed me. You know, he's a heck of an entertainer. I tell him, yeah, but you had a pretty good teacher too, son.
And if we go back to those mentor years, and we talked about that with Trent, back with, I think, time he was in Pennsylvania, and you guys headed to Cody. And when was the first year you went to Cody?
First time I went there was 1974.
When what took you to Cody?
Rodeo. That's what I was telling David Martin. He's the younger brother of the famous Buddy Martin, my deceased bullfighter friend. If it wasn't for Buddy Martin, my entire adult life would have been different. I would not have known anything about rodeo. I told him when he was still living one time, Buddy, I don't know whether to thank you or to be mad at you. But just because me and Buddy and his first cousin, Johnny Mosley, who I presented the plaque to, we all lived within 2 streets of each other growing up. So that's really why I got started, how I got started rodeoing.
He's the one who took you to your first rodeo at 12?
Oh, no. I was 16 when I entered my first rodeo.
But he took you to the show?
Yeah. Buddy and Johnny took me to one right down here in Hope Hull, Alabama.
Okay.
It was on the ball field. I can remember that. And we was probably about 12 years old. And I thought, them guys have got to be crazy to want to tie themselves on the back of a bull. My father always told me if the good Lord intended for a man to ride bulls, he'd have put a seatbelt on him. So I get asked a lot of times, well, how did you get started being a rodeo clown? And our generation many years ago, if you were a rodeo clown, you were also a bullfighter. We were one and the same.
Yeah.
We entertained the audience the entire rodeo, and then when the bull riding got there, you were there to protect the cowboys, but we didn't make it look like this life and death. We made comedy out of it. Mm-hmm. Okay, but it's what I call working. You had to work both ends of the arena back in those days.
Yep. So what took you to? I know Buddy took you to Cody, but why Cody of all places?
Well, I tell you what, there was a legendary rodeo clown, entertainer by the name of Tom Lucia. And I'd worked some with Tom, RCA Rodeos. It was RCA back then, not PRCA. And Jim Houston, 2-time world champion bareback rider. It was his first year to be a rodeo producer there at the world famous Cody Night Rodeo. And he had talked to Tom and said, I need a young kid that wants to come up and get some exposure. He said, well, I got your man. So he called me. I called Jim Houston. And Jim Houston and I have been dear friends since 1974. So this last year, I go to North Dakota now. This will be my 6th year this coming spring. I work for a fertilizer company delivering fertilizer. And it's just a 2-month deal during the planting season. But I'm only about 6.5 hours from Cody. I'm over in western North Dakota, Watford City. And you won't believe this, it's the strangest thing. When I'm in Watford City, North Dakota, I'm only 55 miles from Sydney, Montana. I'm on Central Time just like we are sitting right here now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So It's kind of a weird deal. But I always go back over to Cody to visit friends, see old friends, and of course have to go down to the Irma, my old watering hole there at Buffalo Bill's Hotel in the Rockies. Marlon came out a couple years ago, and that's where we met. But I go back now and see old friends, and they gave me a heck of a send-off this last year at the Cody Night Rodeo. I worked one performance, but working that one performance marked 50 years since I had first worked at the Cody Night Rodeo.
50 years.
Now, I didn't do it 50 years consecutively.
Yeah.
But so it was quite an honor. They threw a big dinner for me, presented me with a nice trophy buckle, and even a 30-30 commemorative rifle.
Nice.
So I've got a lot of dear friends in Cody. I still love to go out there and see the mountains. And there's something about the mountains that always draw me back.
Okay. And when you say you worked your last event there, full makeup, the whole bit?
Oh, yeah. I worked June the 9th of 2024. I walked into that arena for the last time ever.
And was it the same makeup get-up that you...
Love you.
Say so Sweet Pea, was that John Sweet Pea Russell stopped by here? You picked up an award here today.
Pardon?
You picked up an award here today.
Yes, I did. I was so surprised.
Yeah. Well, very, very nice. And you're from the area?
I'm from Lowndes County, Hayneville originally, but I married a city girl. I couldn't get her down there, so I live up here now.
Okay. And when did you get involved in rodeo?
Oh, Lord. I can't remember that far back. Can you see it?
It was over 55 years ago.
Oh, I never dreamed I'd live this long.
Yeah. What event did you work, or events?
Bareback and bulls.
Okay. And always in the area?
Oh, we traveled about a bit.
Mainly in the southeast here.
Yeah, southeast. Went as far west as Arkansas, and of course several in Georgia, Mississippi, and
Florida. The Circle D down in Marianna, Florida.
Yeah.
We had great times.
Yep.
I think John and I went more for the partying than we did the rodeo.
Yeah, they had to come find me one night up at Reeltown. The bull riding went way over, and late early in the morning, rather, and they found me asleep in the back of a car.
You were done bull riding.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, actually, it was my time to ride.
Oh, before he rode.
It was way after the rodeo had ended, and he was so tired of waiting on him to get all the slack done, he went and got in the truck and fell asleep, or car. And now they've got his bull in the chute, and he's asleep in the car.
Oh, I see. Okay. They woke you up in time?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Well, congratulations on the award.
Well, thank you so
You
much.
bet.
It's good to see you. Good to meet you.
Yes, sir.
Good to see you, Sid. Good to see you.
He's good to see you.
I love you,
brother.
Sidney.
Love you, son. Be careful.
All right.
You going, brother? You going?
So, Cody, 1974. Same makeup that you went back 50 years later. And I'm always interested in how does a guy land with his makeup?
Okay. I actually didn't start with the makeup you see me wearing if you was to go to a rodeo, it started in 1975. I was in a clown shop and I saw a blue wig, a bright blue. And I thought I liked that, so I switched to a bright blue eyebrow pencil. And so the face I put on now is the same face that I've been putting on since 1975. And I have a lot of people ask me this. On each cheek here, I'll draw a circle and put a peace sign in it. Somebody said, well, what's that for? 1971, February 25th, 1971. One of my dearest friends got killed in Vietnam. So every time I put that circle on there, I'm honoring him, the memory of him. His name was David Allen Barton. We called him Dabo. But the very first day he went off to basic training, I started my first day in college, even though I didn't go but a year.
Auburn.
No.
No.
Well, yeah, it was called AUM then.
AUM.
Auburn University, Montgomery.
Okay.
But I always put that peace sign on and think of my departed friend.
Yeah. Wow.
But
so there's a reason. There's typically logic behind the makeup.
well, yeah, and every clown has a signature look. Okay, I can look at pictures of rodeo clowns and say, "Oh, that's so and so. That's so and so." And I've told a lot of young kids this: you do not want to imitate or mimic anybody. You want to be your own unique person. So find something that fits you and something you like. And it's like I've told many young kids: you'll never be me, and I can never be you. So find who you are and stay with it.
Yeah. So 74, you go out there. How many years did you work? And for our listeners, Cody Night Rodeo is every night.
7 nights a week, June through August. I've lost track now. I think this year was the 82nd year of the Cody. It's the longest running nightly rodeo in the country. So yeah, there's been a lot of world champions got their start right there at the Cody Night Rodeo. And when you go there, you never know who's liable to come blowing in there and be entered. I've seen world champions. Maybe they've got a young horse they want to work. I've seen world champions come in there and be entered at the Cody Night, or they stay over for a couple of days because we're only like 55 miles from the east entrance of Yellowstone. So they'll come to the rodeo grounds, they'll camp out there, they'll take the family and go to Yellowstone or go to the mountains, and so it's a really cool place to hang out.
Yeah. And you worked every night, 7 nights a week, June through August.
June through August. Now, many years ago in the old days, we didn't rodeo 7 nights a week. We had Sunday off, and everybody looked forward to Sunday off. But in 1979, and it was just a smart business move, Sunday night's actually one of your better nights there because people are coming into town over the weekend.
Okay.
And so they started the 7 nights, and I tell people, I said, there are times I worked 80, 85 performances straight. I couldn't do it now.
Yeah. But what a way to perfect the art.
Well, and that was just it. It taught me something. I taught my son Trent this. When you do something 60, 70, 80 nights in a row, you're working with the same cowboys, the same announcer, everything's the same. But for those people sitting up in the stands, this is their very first rodeo. So at 8 o'clock, I had to turn the switch on, put the smile on, and go out there. And something I always taught Trent, it doesn't make a dang if it's 10 people there or 10,000. You got to give those 10 that bought a ticket, you got to give them the full show.
You bet.
So,
and that is very apparent. I had the privilege of working with Trent for a number of years, and what a showman. And he talks of your mentorship. How he went out at a very young age working with you.
Yeah. He was 12 years old when he worked his first rodeo with me. I put the makeup on him one time. I threw it to him. I said, all right, son, I showed you what to do. From now on, it's up to you. Well, that first night when it got time for the bull riding, he came over to me. He said, Dad, do you want me to get out of the ring? I said, no, just stay out here. He said, well, what'll I do if a bull runs at me? I said, I think I'd run if I was you. I said, but and he's told a lot of people that, I said, always remember this, Trent. The worst thing a bull can do to you is kill you. He can't eat you.
Right.
He said, that really didn't make him feel better.
Yeah, it didn't.
But we've laughed about that a lot of years.
Yeah.
Trent and I have been more like partners, traveling companions, than father and son. But I don't know if I told you this or not, but this is one way I could tell I was getting old and over the hill. Many years ago when Trent come to live with me when he was 15, we'd go to a rodeo like maybe the Circle D in Marianna, Florida. And Trent looks a lot like me, unfortunately, he said. And some of my old cowboy friends would come and say, well, you don't have to tell me whose boy that is. That's Sid. So, well, over the course of the years, it went from being Sid's son to now I'm Trent's dad.
Yeah, there you go.
So that's how you know you're over. But I'm so proud of Trent. He's accomplished so much. He's worked rodeos all the way to Salinas, California and back. So, but I've been blessed in this rodeo life. Like I said, I was a city-raised kid. Didn't know anything about horses or cattle. I went to work at a stockyard where I really learned to work cattle. Hooper Stockyard, Montgomery, Alabama is shut down now. But if it hadn't been for rodeo, all these people that were here today, I would have never known any of them.
Yeah.
So it altered my life. And I had a guy interview me in Jackson Hole, Wyoming one time, he was a magazine guy. And he said, let me ask you something, Sid. He said, if you had to go back and do it over again, do you think you'd do the same thing? I thought about it in a minute. I said, well, I may try to take a few detours to avoid some of them rough places, but yeah, I'd probably go back and do the same thing. So I've been very fortunate. I worked rodeos all the way. Well, the furthest east I ever went was Rutland, Vermont.
Oh, wow.
But worked Madison Square Garden in New York City all the way to the Cow Palace Rodeo in San Francisco.
Wow.
And from the Canadian border all the way to Central America. Of all things, I was chosen to go down to Nicaragua.
Oh, wow.
And do a thing down there. So I got to travel a lot of places, got to meet a lot of people, and the accolades are great. You know, the titles, the buckles, the saddles if you win a saddle. But the greatest thing to me and to most of us is the friendships that's developed.
You bet. You bet.
There's one thing I tell a lot of people. One thing you can never make is an old friend. Okay? So a lot of these people you saw here today, they're old friends.
You bet. You bet. Well, that's beautiful. So a couple questions. If you had an opportunity to hang out with one person in the rodeo business for a day, dead or alive, who would it be?
Probably a guy that I learned more from about fighting bulls than anybody. He's in the Hall of Fame. He's deceased now. It'd be the legendary Junior Meek. I was a 19-year-old kid the first time, no, a 20-year-old kid when I first went up north working RCA rodeos, and I didn't even have a card. They didn't even list me. And I learned if I would move, when Junior said move, I would have just enough time and just enough room to get in and get out. The man taught me more in 3 months than I'd learned in 3 years working in amateur rodeos by myself. So I would love to sit down with Junior.
What would you talk about?
Probably them times we had back up there. One thing you got to remember about rodeo, even though rodeo has grown so much now, 45, 50 years ago, rodeo was not big, especially in the Northeast, okay? We had Gary, New York one year, 5 performance rodeo. And because we were lacking contestants, I was entered into bareback riding, the saddle bronc riding, the bull riding, and the steer wrestling. I had 11 head of livestock to compete on in 5 days, plus clowning and fighting bulls.
Yep. So
you did what you had to do. That's one of the biggest things that's changed in rodeo. Cowboys years ago, if a rodeo producer, i.e. stock contractor, needed some help, needed somebody to mount out a horse or a bull, you were glad to do them to help him put on a show, because without them, we didn't have a job. I'm one of the few guys that can say, right here at Montgomery Rodeo, when I was just a kid, I mounted out the PRC, well, back then it was RCA, Saddle Bronc Horse of the Year for $10.
For $10.
For $10.
Yeah.
I'd already bucked off my bull. My fees were $30 back then. I thought he come down through. It was a famous horse, bucking horse owned by Hall Cinnamon, the Flying Eye. They called him Jesse James, big Palomino horse, and his big lick was when the gate opened, he reared real high out of the chute. Well, I made it past the rear, but then he yard darted me. But you know, I got up and the man put 10. Now, you go to some of these young guys today and say, hey, I've got a world champion bucking horse or a world champion bucking bull. I'd like you to mount him out just so the people can see him. I'll give you $10. See what they tell you.
Right. Right.
But see, you did whatever you could to help a guy out.
Yeah. So next question. You've been in a lot of interviews like this, radio, newspaper, TV. What's the one question that they never asked you, that you always thought, man?
Well, here's one thing that always stuck out in my mind. Every night after the Cody Night Rodeo, I would go over about the last bull or before the last bull. I'd go and get outside where the main congregation, main crowd's leaving, and I would thank people for coming. Thank you for coming. Hope you had a good time. Take pictures, autographs, yada yada. You'd be surprised how many times I had tourists tell me this: "You must live a wonderful life. You get to travel all over the country and you only work 2 hours a night." They don't see those all-night drives, screeching into a rodeo grounds 30 minutes before the performance, trying to throw on makeup, get everything ready. I've got a very unique, one-of-a-kind little car act. It's a fire truck, a fairly expensive one, got $5,000 worth of hydraulics on it. But anyway, I've seen rodeos where I would get there and start checking out all my wires from my bombs on, and something wasn't working, and I'd work maybe 5 or 6 hours trying to pinpoint a problem for an act that lasted 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's the part they don't see. People ask me, do I miss it? I don't miss the rodeo per se. I don't miss the travel. I miss the people. Now, when I step foot in that arena for 2 hours and a half, I forget about all the troubles and hardships I had to get there. I'm there to entertain that audience and give them their money's worth. So that's the fun part of rodeoing, that when you're out there in the limelight. Mm-hmm. That's the easy part. Mm-hmm. It's all the behind-the-scenes stuff that nobody sees.
Yeah. Do you miss the stage?
Well, I can't say I don't somewhat, because that's when I'm in my true self, when I step in that rodeo arena. Yeah. One good thing about being a rodeo clown, and I never will forget this, it was years ago at Cody, about the only place left open after the rodeo was over would be the Pizza Hut. And I had a lady friend, and we went down to the Pizza Hut, and there's people in there, there's several different tables. And I heard some of them say something about the rodeo. I said, "Oh, did you guys go to the rodeo tonight?" They said, "Yeah, we sure." I said, "Well, do you enjoy it?" And they said, "Oh, we had a blast." Then she looked at me in her eyes and she said, "You're the rodeo clown." She recognized my voice.
Recognize you.
See, when I've got that makeup on, I can pretty much say or do anything I want out there, because you don't know what I look like.
Right.
So that's kind of a cool part about it. But we always try to be very conscientious. Is that conscious of the image we're projecting? Mm-hmm. Like I told Trent, I always remember this: you never know who's sitting up in those stands watching you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
And there's little kids running around every rodeo, and they're looking at you because they want to be you one day. So make sure what you're doing or saying. We have to be very particular, especially in today's environment where everybody wants to be so politically correct. So I try to stay away from any political type jokes. Mm-hmm. I never use first names. You don't want to offend anybody. People come and buy a ticket. They want to be entertained. They don't want to be offended.
Certainly.
So you kind of got to watch what you say.
Mm-hmm. So you made a comment in that answer where you said it's the real you when you're on stage. How would you describe that, the real you?
I don't know. Once I put that makeup on, it's like I get into a certain zone. I'm in my element. And like I said, right before I go in that arena, I reach up here and I turn the switch on, and I forget anything else that's going on, the problems I may have had. Here's one thing I always taught my son Trent. Always remember this. Somewhere sitting up there in that grandstand, there is a man who's 3 months behind on his truck payment. His washing machine broke that very day. His wife's threatening to divorce him, and he's going to lose his house. If you can let that guy get his mind off his problems for 2 hours, put a smile on his face, he'll leave from there saying, that was really a good rodeo. Mm-hmm. And the only reason for it, you can't make somebody have a good time, but you let him enjoy himself for 2 hours and get his mind off his problem. And who do you know doesn't have problems?
Right. Wow, well said. Well said. That is very, very neat. Well, I appreciate you being on the show.
You
Mr.
bet.
McFarland. I've known your son for a few years. Got an opportunity to work with him. Great grandkids, by the way.
Thank you. I'm proud of them.
You reckon they're going to find their way into entertainment?
Well, now, Trent's two sons that are here in Alabama, they've
Yeah.
worked with us several times. It was probably about 6 years ago. Trent was going to work Salinas, California.
Mm-hmm.
They'd been up in Wisconsin somewhere working one. So they were going to go through Cody. And Trent was born in Cody, Wyoming. I've got pictures of him.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, I've got pictures of me in clown makeup and Trent sitting on my lap. And anyway, Trent always told me, he said, Dad, it was always a dream of mine to work one performance of the Cody Night Rodeo. Well, he didn't realize, but I could make it happen.
Okay.
Maury Tate, the rodeo producer, is such a dear, good friend, Maury and Nikki Tate, and Mo Better Rodeo Company. So I calls Maury. I found out when Trent was going to be there. They were going to come to Cody and lay out for a day or two. I called Maury. I said, Maury, Trent and his family is going to be there on such and such a night. I want to work the rodeo. He said, you got it. So I didn't even let Trent know I was going to Cody, Wyoming.
Oh,
So-
you went to Cody?
Yeah, I
went to
Cody.
Cody.
I went.
Okay.
So here comes Trent pulling into the rodeo grounds with that big fancy rig of his.
Very fancy.
And there's 4 or 5 of us cowboys sitting in chairs there. And he sees me sitting there, and he gets out and he comes and said, Dad, what are you doing here? I said, guess who's working this rodeo night? He said, who? I said, me and you. So he put clown makeup on his little boys. The newspaper got wind of it. They came out. There were 3 generations of McFarlands in the rodeo that night. So that's kind of a highlight for me.
Yeah. Wow, what a life, dude.
Yep.
City boy
And
discovers rodeo.
And rubbed shoulders with world champions and some of the legendary figures of rodeo, Jim Shoulders, Neil Gay, Cotton Rosser, Mike Survey, a lot of famous guys, even down in this country, Bubba Aubrey, Charlie Lowry, just all these people that I've been able to make friends out of simply because I went to a rodeo.
Yeah. Isn't that something? What a life, dude. And thank you for your fire service.
Oh, you bet.
And thank you for the year in Afghanistan.
Iraq, yeah.
Iraq, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a totally different world over there.
Oh, yeah.
It made me really appreciate what we have here in America.
Yeah, you bet. Well said. Thank you, my friend.
You bet. Thank
Great
you.
to have you on here.
Thank you, sir.
All right.
Hope to see you again.
Well,
Are you
we
coming? Are you coming to the Labor Day gig there?
Oh,
at
yeah,
Mountain
you
Cove?
bet. I'll be up Mountain Cove.
Good.
I will be
We'll see
Mountain
you there,
Cove.
my friend.
All right, take care,
Take
sir.
care.
We hoped you enjoyed this episode of Beyond the Chutes. If you did, please share us with your friends. Like us, follow us, subscribe, leave us comments. We love hearing from you. Hey, and do visit our Facebook page. We've got all kinds of reels up there. Beyond the Chutes is the name of our Facebook page. And visit our website, beyondthechutes.show. And we'd like to give a great big shout out to our sponsor, Parasite Systems. They help the BTC bus on the road. They help us keep the wheels turning. And I have said in the past, I listen to podcasts, and I've got a brand new one that I want to pass on to you. It's called The Wandering Gypsy RV Life. Had an opportunity to meet the host, Stan Cromlish, when I was in Alabama. So do give a listen. You can find all of his shows. They are on YouTube and Spotify and Apple Podcasts, all the places where you go and listen. And just so you know, he has helped me keep the rig rolling and is doing some updates in 2025 to give us a hand. Now, speaking of podcasts, I've talked about them in the past. I hope you got subscribed to them and you're following them to make sure you pick up their episodes when they come out. It's called Rodeo Roots. Rob and Dan again, and Blue Jeans. What a great job they do. They talk about rodeoing, going down the road. They have such great guests on there. And with the 2025 rodeo season underway, you can count on a lot of stories from the road from this great trio. And I want to say thank you to the Kickback Ranch and Resort down there in Raymer, Alabama, about 20 minutes south of Montgomery. What a great host they were for that rodeo reunion we went to down there. And for your family, take them down. They've got all kinds of great things for you to do with your kids. Beautiful place, wonderful trails, beautiful lakes, and all kinds of good things. So find them at kickbackranch.net. Give Miss Mindy and the staff a call. They will get you set up. And I'd also like to say thank you to the IRA Facebook group page, Mr. Tim Sparks and Marlon Harris, keeping the IPRA rodeo heritage alive. And BTC is on the road again in 2025. We are scheduled to be at the King Brothers Rodeo Reunion, that second annual cowboy reunion. It's going to be Saturday, May 10th. Starts at noon up there in Lewisburg, Ohio, not far from Dayton. So we'll be there. And then the 11th annual Mountain Cove Rodeo Reunion in Walnut Grove, Georgia, over Labor Day weekend. Marlon and Claire Harris, what a great job they do putting on that reunion. So many great friends come in. We were there last year, and we're planning on going back to this 11th annual. And we're also headed up to the Western Festival de Saint-Tite in Saint-Tite, Quebec, over the 10-day run, September 5th through the 14th. We're going to be up there. And we want to say thank you to our listeners for taking us along with you on your long overnight runs as your long rodeo travels are taking place this time of the year as this 2025 rodeo season gets underway. So until next time, be safe, keep listening. We'll see you down the road. This is Doug Simcox.